revolutionary masses. This would dissolve the psychological barrier which makes student activists think there is no value in their work if it is not dramatic enough to attract wide attention, unquote. In effect, Mr. Bucking was saying, and I concur, that a sustained relation between the activism of the youth and the students and the work of the revolutionary masses would make the former more relevant and enhance the latter. In that same speech, Bucking paid rhapsodic tribute to the masses of the people that he pledged to share, even as he endured bitter disappointments and crushing failures. He said, "In the most difficult of times, it is the revolutionary masses that never lose sight of the revolutionary goals and keep intact the hard core of unity and organization. It is their ardor which keeps aflame the fires of revolution even when everything seems lost. The reassuring warm hand one feels on the shoulders during darkest moments of temporary defeat is often the hand of a peasant worker. This is a tested lesson derived from revolutionary experience," he said, unquote. It was this lesson that Bucking wanted to get off his chest as soon as he could to the young people who were eagerly listening to his every word. As I come to the end of this talk, I think of Angel Bucking, UP engineer, intellectually gifted, who gave up a promising career in the foreign service to serve the Filipino people in revolutionary struggle, and during imprisonment for almost 2 decades, and lending his brilliant mind and experienced hand in the movement's self-renewal. If during his time they were but a handful to take the path of revolution, the 2 succeeding generations have produced a bountiful harvest of capable, intensely motivated patriots who have taken up the challenge to carry on. I am now nearly the same age as Angel was in the early 1990s, when I used to visit him after I was released from prison to ask him for advice. I am proud to say that I marched along the same road with him. And in this memory, I can say to him now with confidence in Kapampangan, "Tumula ka, abe, eda katalakwan ting kaya nakam. Be glad, comrade, because the youth will not fail us." Thank you. Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat.
Thank you, Representative Ocampo. Before we go on to the open forum, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of a member of the UP Board of Regents, Regent Nelia T. Gonzalez. So our lecturer, I assume, is now ready for questions from the audience here in Diliman, as well as those in other campuses. Since we have very limited time, please keep your questions brief and direct to the point. We will entertain the first question from our audience here in NISMED. Please raise your hand, and when recognized, please proceed to the microphones, state your name, your college, and go directly to your question. Yes.
Congressman Ocampo, good afternoon. You mentioned in your lecture that there are times that I'm Junius Andre F. Balisa from the National Institute of Physics. So my question is this, you mentioned in your talk that sometimes the students from UP, in a sense, divert from the ideals of the mass revolution, right? Then sometimes, can you comment on my view that apparently sometimes intellectuals divert from the masses, it is because there are also instances in the struggle wherein the intellectuals feel some sort of being betrayed by the masses. For example, if the masses, we should admit that it's the masses that allows a leader, the president, to win and the candidate to become president. So if a president that even before, from first hand, we already know that this president isn't going to be a good president, still that candidate wins to be a president, we felt betrayed. So that is why there's some apparent diversion or break from the intellectual and the masses.
You have to make a distinction.
Yes.
When you talk of the masses, in the context that I spoke, was basically those organized and politicized. But when you really talk of the masses of the Filipinos, the vast majority are very far from being politicized and have not yet comprehended or appreciated, the views of the militant activists. So activists should not be dismayed if the people, the mass majority, would elect politicians who offer themselves as the new hope for change and they are disappointed. It has taken the movement for so long because it is revolutionary work of educating, organizing and mobilizing people. It's a long process, and there's always a stronger countercurrent to that. So, for as long as we haven't been able to get that critical mass of the majority of the people along the revolutionary path, then there should be no presumption that the changes that we are working for would be immediately attainable. At any rate, my whole point is that over a long period, over 40 years, that's why I cited issues that remain unsolved, and looking at the impact of national development, there is leadership after leadership of the national government have failed to resolve the problems. And always people are asking for alternatives. And that's why the alternatives, as I say, the revolution, despite its setbacks, persist because people continue to look, both those who have been before there and new ones being won over, believe that their hope is in the change that it promises.
All right. Let's go to UP Iloilo, which is ready with a question. UP Iloilo's coordinator, Professor Rosalie Hall.
UP Iloilo coming in.
Yes, please.
Ask your question.
Good afternoon.
Representative Ocampo. How do you propose to inspire UP students to take on the path of militant activism when the goal of radical transformation through revolutionary struggle has been discredited in other countries? This question is from me.
Thank you, Professor Hall.
We have been in this struggle for long. I've always emphasized that even though the political revolutionary theories had been essentially taken from the formulations of the revolutionaries of old, the decisive factor are the social conditions and the level of politicization and organization of people believing in revolutionary change that will spell the difference between success and failure. We all see successful revolutions leading to failures later. But that is the logic of a class struggle or social dynamics. In most of these failures, the inability of those who won the revolution or the succeeding generation that took over the new state that I established had failed to carry on and stick by the basic principles of revolutionary change, of serving, upholding the best interest of the people. And they allow external interest or selfish interest to be primary, have fallen by the wayside. So what I can say is that despite all of these failures in other countries, the fact the government itself admits that the biggest challenge of them is still this revolutionary movement. Whether you agree with it or not, as I said from the very beginning, it's there, and a lot of people continue to give hope, to hold hope, and to support it. So, when you talk, the movement is discredited. In the specific places, there are failures, but in the Philippines, it cannot be said that it has been thoroughly discredited.
All right, let's go to UP Tacloban. UP Tacloban is now ready with a question. Professor Lady Lee Mancada.
Yes, Monet, we have one question here, and Mr. Anton Galang will give you the question.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mr. Antonio Galang, faculty of the Division of Social Science here in UP Visayas. My question is this: considering our globalized age, how can the young and the not so young express their protest to the present system? And then what is the best, if not the effective way of expressing protest in national and local areas?
The most important thing in expressing protest against the dangerous direction of globalization and its impact is to understand its nature and its workings, and to be able to explain it effectively to the people. If the people or the audience whom you aim to mobilize do not properly understand what you are protesting against, you won't be able to mobilize them. So it has been the responsibility of activists of all ages that they should be well grounded, not only on revolutionary theory, but on the realities on the ground, specifically the impact of globalization in our own society, what it has meant in the lives of our farmers, of our workers. These are continuing debate of the emergence and death of our very infant or small industries, the continued domination of multinationals.